Of course, no visit to Scotland would be worth it unless you were going to visit either a castle or a loch, a typical Scottish castle. So I was just driving out in the countryside in the middle of nowhere. I wasn't really following any particular route, and I didn't know where I was going. And I could see a big blue splodge on my car mapping, which said it was called Loch Maben, Lochmaben, and there's a loch here called, when I got closer it said it was called Castle Loch. And as I was going down this country lane, I just saw this tiny little sign that said Historic Scotland. So I took the right turn down this bumpiest farm track that you could possibly imagine, past a couple of farms, into some woodland. I just thought, it's a bit strange. I'm like driving in the middle of nowhere. I don't really know where I'm going. I don't know if I'm on private property or not, but I was following a sign. And as I came to the sort of clearing, I could see through the trees the loch in front of me here. So this is Loch Maben. I don't think it's a massively large one, but it's still a loch in Scotland. And as I got further down, through the opening, saw a couple of cars parked, so I knew that it was probably legitimate. And I saw the ruins of a castle. Admittedly, it's a very, very old castle and there's not really a lot left of it. But this is the ruins of a Scottish castle, hence it's called Castle Loch. And I guess it's under some sort of conservation efforts to some degree. Yeah, conservation and maintenance works. Let's see what it is about. The loss of the outer stonework left Loch Maben vulnerable, and the structure was weakened by centuries of exposure to the elements. After the Second World War, the castle came into state care, and the challenge of conservation began. Post 1945, the moat is cleared and the curtain wall is strengthened. 1950 to 1970, a technique called rough racking is used to secure and reface large areas of broken walls and protective cappings. 1995, strengthening mortar was sprayed onto the walls where hollows had developed. 2002 to 2004, an arch is partly reconstructed and the wall above is consolidated. In 2000 to 2011, earth buttressing was added to support high walls. It says look out for rough racking on the right, in which stones have been set into mortar to simulate the appearance of the medieval wall core on the far right. This technique has a limited lifespan and is now starting to decay. So this castle was originally built by England's Edward I as an outpost in hostile territory. Its high defensive walls would have been an imposing sight, but over the centuries Loch Maben was besieged and burnt and eventually abandoned, and the stone from the ruins was put to use elsewhere. Today we protect the ruins and the archaeology buried below the surface. So it was originally built in 1298. Building works begun. 48 labourers and 12 skilled craftsmen from Cumbria were employed to construct a timber castle. By the following summer, the castle defences can hold off a 5-day siege led by Robert the Bruce, who was then the Earl of Carrick. In 1301, the English constable reports that 7,000 Scots, led by John de Saules, Guardian of Scotland, have attacked the castle. In 1367, stonemasons or cementarios and carpenters were employed to carry out repairs and alterations to the stone buildings which have been built here. In 1385, a powerful Scottish noble, Archibald the Grim, 3rd Earl of Douglas, captures the castle from the English. This is his coat of arms. In the 1440s, Loch Maben becomes a royal castle when it's forfeited by the Douglas family. Around 50 years later, King James IV orders major works to the Great Hall. This is King James IV's coat of arms. In 1603, James VI inherits the English throne and departs for London. Lochmaben Castle falls out of use. Here's an aerial shot of what it looks like. The ongoing erosion of the exposed rubble core, loosening stones and vegetation growth all contribute to the instability of the masonry. Enthusiastic conservation attempts of the last century undoubtedly saved parts of Lochmaben, but some of the interventions were major, affecting the castle's appearance and the authenticity of what we're preserving. Some of the techniques used in the past have a limited lifespan, compounding the conservation challenge. Underground protected archaeology remains a potentially rich resource to improve our understanding of this fascinating site. By the 1800s, the castle ruins were a spectacular backdrop to local social events and a convenient quarry for the growing town. Gradually stripped of its fine red sandstone and vulnerable rubble, core of the castle was exposed to the elements. There is nothing now standing but a small part of the heart of the wall. The fine ashlar work is all stripped off, and there are a few houses in the neighbourhood in which some of the stones are not to be seen. In 1887, Queen Victoria visits Scotland during a tour of the realm to celebrate her Golden Jubilee. The castle may have been tidied up for her visit, but we don't know whether she actually stopped here or not. In 1831, J.M.W. Turner produces sketches of the ruins and eventually his watercolour, Lochmaben Castle. So this is part of Scottish history. And this is all that remains. It's literally set in dense woodland at the bottom of a path next to Castle Loch, Lochmaben. So sometimes you're just out and about and you see a sign, even if it's a small one, just take that route, go and have a look. You never know what you're going to find, and I didn't expect to see a castle down here. I just thought I was driving towards the loch. So if you like this video so far, please leave a comment below. Helps a small channel like mine. And hit the like button and subscribe and turn on notifications. Thank you. There's walks are all around the loch. It appears to be two adjacent lochs, Castle Loch and Kirk Loch. There's parking right the way around, public toilets, disabled toilets. Part of the loch is a sanctuary zone. There's various bird hides around, caravan site, cottages, fishing platforms, picnic areas, bowling green and tennis courts. And this is what it looks like. There's a warning for blue-green algae. Appears to have materialised 13,000 BC during the Ice Age, 6,000 BC Mesolithic, between 4,000 BC and 3,000 BC in the Neolithic period, 2,000 BC in the Bronze Age, 0 years before Christ, Iron Age, medieval, 1,000 years Anno Domini, and now modern. Tales from medieval times involve fierce mythical creatures and tearful princesses, but here at Lochmaben Castle the only damsels in distress will be the insects which fall prey to their larger relations. Adult dragonflies eat other flying insects, particularly midges and mosquitoes, but also butterflies, moths and smaller damselflies. Dragonflies tend to be the larger of the two, are more powerful flyers and hold their wings open while at rest. Damselflies are much more slender and the weaker flyers and hold their wings closed when resting. The greatest part of the dragonfly's life cycle from egg to adult is spent in the larval stage under the water. It's a fierce predator, hunting insects, tadpoles and sometimes small fish. In Scotland there's actually 23 species of dragonfly and damselfly, are breeding residents. Though some are very uncommon. The migrant hawker has only been recorded in the last few years in Scotland, but it is found here at Castle Lock. Let's take a walk through the woods to the lock. I guess during high water this raised Bunding floods. You can see some picnic benches through there. Looks like some people fishing, so I've got to be quiet.